How's everyone doing? Thanks for joining me on my small engine repair channel. Today's project is this Canadiana branded push mower, and the problem the customer says it's having is it backfires. So let's see if we can get into this one and figure it out for him. Alright guys, so first thing we're going to do is try and replicate the problem. I don't think we're going to get this thing fired up because he says it's been sitting out in the elements for months here, but we'll see what happens. Check the oil first, and the quantity is low and the quality is not very good, but enough for testing. Let's see if there's even any fuel in here. There's just a little smidgen of fuel. Check the air filter. Ugh, not so good, but you can always clean that up. I'm just gonna look in here and see if there's any. Okay, so the primer is working. Let's see what we get. All right, that's interesting. Okay, so it didn't do any backfiring, but man, is it running really fast. So there might be a governor problem or a linkage problem, so we're gonna have to dive into that probably first. Actually, before we get started on the lift here, I'm gonna try and see how fast this thing is actually running with my tachometer. Alright guys, so 4,000 RPM. This engine is not going to last overly long if we let it keep running there at 4,000 RPM. So the other problem it might be having too with the backfire is that this thing is so clogged. It's pretty clogged up. So that's going to make it run rich. And he said it specifically backfires a lot of times when he shuts it off. So that's probably a byproduct of it running real rich. And then there's excessive fuel left over when he shuts it off, and it'll just backfire through the muffler there. So anyways, let's take a look at the governor linkage and the throttle linkage on this thing and see if we can figure out why it's running so darn fast. Alright guys, first thing I'm going to do is take this starter recoil cover off here, just because it's sticking and needs to be lubricated anyways. Those are 3 5/16. Alright, next thing I do is take this fuel tank off, and it just like lifts straight up. And I think I see our problem already, so that's good. All right, so let me take you in here and show you what I see. You'll probably recognize right away what I'm pointing at here. This here spring you can see has been jimmy rigged. That is not what that spring is supposed to look like. So what's happening is it's putting more tension on this governor arm, which is keeping the throttle way up. Now this little arm right here is what you can usually use to reduce or strengthen the tension on this spring, causing the RPMs to go up or down, but not if this spring is completely jimmy rigged. So probably gonna need a new spring here, or maybe I can make this one work for the guy, save him a few bucks. So that's what we're going to be working on right there. I'm going to see what I can do with that spring. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is show you how to find parts for something like this. These newer Briggs have these barcodes on them, or whatever they call those, QR codes. And all you need to do is take your cell phone. I got my personal cell phone here. And go into the camera. And then it's already picked it up. So you just have to actually put your camera on there, and it actually gives you a link to go to right there, a web page. Just click on that. That'll take you to the Briggs & Stratton web page. So right from there you go click on view manual, click to view manuals, and there's the parts manual for your specific machine. There's one in Chinese, there's one in English. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to look for the English one myself and click on the button there, pull it up, and they've made it pretty easy. So they're going to ask you to download the parts manual, and then it opens. Okay, so what we're looking for is spring from the governor arm. So I'm going to cycle through here. Oh, I think we found our spring. Here it is right here. Part number 209. That's what it should look like. Which, if I put my spring up to that, that's what it should look like. Okay, so if I looked then for part number 209 in the list, here is my part number, and that is spring governor. Okay. So then I would just type that into Google, and maybe on Amazon you can get it, or you can go to Jack's Small Engines, or there's all sorts of other listings where you can go ahead and find that. And that's the part you're going to order. So what we're going to try and do is actually reuse this one, because the guy doesn't want to spend a lot of money on this mower. It's just a kind of a cheap mower, and try to get it back to him as soon as we can. So what I think has happened is this has probably actually been stretched a little bit, so I might have to make this end a little bit smaller, which is what he tried to do already, but it actually he actually bent it like way too small. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, and we're going to try that out, see if that works. Alright guys, so I have made this a little bit smaller, so we're going to try that. We can always, like I said before, we can always adjust the arm right here, this guy. We can adjust it back or forward to put a little more, a little less tension on the spring. So I'm going to put this back on now. Alright. Now that feels a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is lubricate the starter recoil. I have a video on that. I'll put a link there in the top right corner, and on how to do that. I'm going to just do that, and then I'm going to put the gas tank back on, and then see how the RPM looks after that, and we can always adjust it from there. Alright, so I got her all back together here, and lubricated that starter, and adjusted that spring like I was showing you there. So let's see if that's made any difference. I'm going to get my pliers. I'm going to get my pliers ready as well to maybe bend that arm that is up and under here. So get those ready. Alright guys, so that's did it. I had to adjust the that arm. Again, you pull it out this way a little bit and it increases the tension on that spring, and that increases the RPM. If you bend it more towards it and relax the pressure on the spring, then it actually reduces the RPM. So it seems to be running good or okay. It doesn't backfire at all that I've noticed. So I think we've solved this one. I think it was just a matter of the spring was bent incorrectly and the RPM was way too fast, and potentially his backfiring could be caused by this guy. So I did put this back on there and actually run it with the dirty air filter on there, and it still wasn't backfiring. I couldn't reproduce the backfire. So anyways, I'm going to clean this filter up and just do a general tune-up on this guy, change the oil, sharpen the blade, lubricate all the wheel adjusters and cables. I do have a video on a full tune-up which I will post here in the top right corner now. It's a 4-part series, and it goes in depth on how I tune up one of these things. So go ahead and click on that and it'll show you what I do in the tune-up department. So once again guys, thanks for joining me. Hopefully this might be informative if your mower is revving up too high on this style of Briggs & Stratton engine. And until the next project, take care.